Here's a number that might make you uncomfortable. 70% of couples say money is their number one source of conflict. Not in-laws, not intimacy, money. And yet most of those same couples went into their relationship having never once had a real conversation about spending habits, financial goals, or what bad with money even means to each of them. So if you're watching this because you started noticing things that bother you, things that scare you, things that seem to threaten your financial goal, stay with me. Because I'm not going to tell you your partner is the problem. I'm going to show you how to actually diagnose what's happening and what to do next. Let's start with a question most people never think to ask. What does bad with money actually mean? Because that phrase gets used to describe everything from he bought too many sneakers to she has $30,000 in secret credit card debt. Those are not the same problem. And treating them the same way is how couples end up having the wrong conversation over and over for years. Before you can fix it, you have to know what you're actually dealing with. So let's walk through 4 symptoms. And as I describe each one, I want you to honestly note which ones apply to your situation. Symptom 1, avoidance. Does your partner change the subject when money comes up? Do they get defensive, shut down, or suddenly become very busy anytime a financial conversation starts? Avoidance is one of the most common financial behaviors, and it's almost never about laziness. It's usually about shame, anxiety, or a history of financial trauma they haven't told you about. If your partner grew up in a household where money was scarce, chaotic, or weaponized, avoidance is often the only coping mechanism they learned. That's important context, not an excuse, context. Symptom 2, inconsistency. They agree to a budget, then blow it. They commit to saving, and then a necessary purchase appears. They start well, lose discipline, and restart. This pattern, commit, break, restart, is often tied to what behavioral economists call present bias. The future version of yourself always seems capable of the sacrifice. The present version wants the thing. Research from Princeton's neuroscience department found that when humans think about the future, we actually use different parts of the brain than when we're in the moment of temptation. Your partner isn't lying when they commit. They're just not accounting for who they become when the opportunity to spend appears. Symptom 3, secrecy. This one is more serious. Hidden purchases, accounts you didn't know about, minimizing what things cost when they tell you about them. Oh, it was on sale, for something that definitely wasn't. Secrecy in financial behavior almost always points to shame underneath it, but it's also a form of financial deception, and it erodes trust in ways that take real work to repair. The distinction I want you to make here is this. Is the secrecy about a one-time purchase they felt embarrassed about, or is it a pattern, one conversation, or a recurring dynamic? Those need very different responses. Symptom 4, incompatible priorities. This one is subtle and often misread. You're saving for a home, they're spending freely because we're young. While you see money as security, they have a different view about money. They see it as a quality of life tool. Neither of you is objectively wrong, but you're building toward different futures without realizing it. Financial incompatibility isn't about one person being bad and one being good. It's about two people having deeply different values around what money is for and never having had the conversation to discover that. Here's what I want you to sit with before we go further. Which of those 4 symptoms resonated? 1, 2, all of them? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to know how many people are dealing with more than one at the same time, and whether they've ever had a diagnosis like this before. Now let's talk about the root cause underneath all 4 of those symptoms. Here's the unsexy truth that most finance videos skip over. Your partner's financial behavior was almost entirely shaped before they met you. The way they were raised around money, whether it was talked about openly or treated as a secret, whether it was plentiful or scarce, whether financial decisions were made logically or emotionally, all of that is running in the background every time they open their wallet or avoid opening a bill. A 2012 study from the University of Arizona found that financial socialization, meaning how people learn about money during childhood, is one of the strongest predictors of adult financial behavior. Stronger than income, stronger than education level. Your partner didn't choose their default money mindset. It was installed several years before they ever had a bank account of their own. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, it explains where it comes from, and that distinction matters because it changes your approach from blame to curiosity. Why you like this is a very different energy than, help me understand where this comes from. A 2017 study from Kansas State University found that financial arguments tend to be longer, more intense, and take longer to recover from than other types of couple arguments. They also found that financial disagreements early in a relationship are among the top predictors of divorce. Not because money itself is the problem, but because how couples handle financial disagreement reveals how they handle power, respect, and trust. The money argument is rarely about money. Now, here's where most people make their biggest mistake. They try to fix their partner. They send articles, they make budgets for both of them. They become the financial parent in the relationship, tracking, correcting, reminding. That mostly never works, because you cannot want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. What you can do is something far more effective. You can create a structure that makes it easier for both of you to succeed together. That's what I want to give you now. A 4-step process I call the Clarity Audit. It's not about diagnosing your partner. It's about building a shared financial reality that both of you can actually work inside of. Step 1. Separate the behavior from the identity. Before any conversation happens, decide internally that you're separating what your partner does from who your partner is. You overspend is a behavior. You're irresponsible is an identity attack. And the moment someone feels like their character is being judged, they stop listening and start defending. This isn't just about being nice, it's strategic. If the conversation triggers shame, you lose them for the rest of the conversation and for the next 3 conversations after it. So the script changes. Not, you spent $400 on whatever, but I noticed we're $400 over on our entertainment budget this month. Can we figure out what happened together? Same information, completely different outcome. Step 2. Run a money story session. This is a structured 30-minute conversation, not a lecture, not a budget meeting. You each answer 4 questions. What's the earliest memory you have involving money? Was money a source of stress or safety in your household growing up? What's your relationship with debt? Does it scare you, or does it feel normal? And finally, what does financial security mean to you specifically? These questions surface the programming underneath the behavior. You'll almost certainly understand your partner and yourself differently after this conversation. There was this couple I know that went through this and discovered that one of them grew up in a household where spending was how love was expressed. Every time she bought something nice for the house, it wasn't impulsiveness. It was literally her love language translated into money. That's not a spending problem. That's a conversation that needed to happen 2 years earlier. Step 3. Design a system that works for both personalities. Here's where the practical architecture comes in. Rather than trying to convert a free spending partner into a frugal minimalist, what you can do is build a system that accommodates both. One proven structure for couples with different money personalities is what I call the yours, mine, ours model. That's 3 accounts. A joint account that handles all fixed shared expenses, like rent, utilities, groceries, savings goals. Each partner keeps a personal account with a predetermined individual budget. No questions asked, no accountability to each other for what they spend it on. This removes the friction of, you spent what? Because the spending comes from an account that was budgeted for personal discretion. It respects autonomy while protecting shared goals. Here's a quick illustration. Combined net take-home of $8,000 a month. Shared expenses, $5,000 goes into the joint account. Each partner receives $1,500 into their personal accounts. What they do with their $1,500 is their business. What the joint account is for, that's non-negotiable. You're not policing each other, you're protecting the plan. Now, before you close this video and decide your partner just needs to do better, ask yourself this. If your partner ran a diagnostic on your financial habits, which symptom would come up for you? Most of us have at least one. That question isn't rhetorical. You honestly need to answer this question. The people who engage with that question always tell me it changes something. Step 4. Define the non-negotiables clearly. Every couple needs to agree on a short list of behaviours that are simply off the table. Not as punishments, but as mutual protection. Secret debt is one. Spending from savings without agreement. Taking on financial obligations that affect both people without a conversation first. These aren't controlling, they're the terms of a financial partnership. And stating them explicitly, calmly, in a neutral moment, not in the middle of a fight, is completely different from issuing ultimatums. Here's where I want to leave you. There is no such thing as a person who is simply bad with money. There are people who haven't examined their financial programming, people who've never been taught a system, people who associate money with conflict or loss or freedom, depending on what their childhood taught them. Your partner is one of those people. So, honestly, are you? The couples who build wealth together don't do it because they were both born financially disciplined. They do it because they decided to understand each other's relationship with money instead of judging it. And then they built a structure that worked for both of them. The conversation isn't, you need to be better. The conversation is, let's figure out what better looks like for us. That's where all of it starts. Here is what you can do this week with your partner. Run the money story session. Just the 4 questions, no agenda, no budget spreadsheet, no corrections. Just listen. Then come back and tell me what surprised you most.